We're now in a trade war with Mexico and Canada. For the American people, it'll now be a war between prices and their paychecks. That is the last thing we need.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer reacting today after President Donald Trump upheld his campaign promise to go after foreign countries, signing orders to impose tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China. Trump says the tariffs are meant to force those countries to do more to stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States. He also says the tariffs are being imposed because the United States has a trade deficit with the three countries. But many fear tariffs will drive up prices in the United States on a wide range of products and impact border communities like El Paso.
It will affect our region in a dramatic way, leading to loss of potentially thousands of jobs. We are an integrated economy, and it's estimated that 1 out of every 4 jobs in El Paso is directly related to trade with Mexico, and something along the lines of 60% of the formal employment in Ciudad Juarez is related to manufacturing into the maquila industry.
These orders will enforce a tariff rate of 10% on all imports from China and 25% on imports from Mexico and Canada. And as local organizations are bracing for the change, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responded to President Trump's tariffs through a lengthy post on X. The Mexican president posting on Saturday, "We categorically reject the White House's slander that the Mexican government has alliances with criminal organizations as well as any intention of meddling in our territory." Sheinbaum declaring retaliatory tariffs today, instructing her economy minister to enact a contingency plan. Those details are unspecified at this hour. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also announced shortly after that his country would also be retaliating, responding to the Trump administration's executive order by implementing a 25% tariff against billions of dollars in U.S. goods, saying he plans to stand strong for Canada. Take a listen.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives.
And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. 2 Ezra chapter 6 and verse 22. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash, and double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Aharon coming back at you with another lesson. And Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and this is more going to be just a quick heads up. All right, came across a couple of articles really, but I wanted to focus more on this one here because I kind of see this through the Spirit. I see this turning into, so you know, something that was supposed to have good intentions, ultimately ending up being the worst case scenario. And what do I mean by that? Well, we have here, it says, Trump enters trade war after placing tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. All right, so 3 countries that, you know, most of American consumption and product come from. I know Canada is almost, 40% of their economy, or their shipping is it goes to America. All right, United States. So, you know, that's almost half of what Canada, you know, banks on, right? Their so-called economy and so on and so forth. Almost half of it is fueled by America's purchases and so on and so forth, right? We have a lot of products here in America that goes back to China. You know what I mean? Like a lot of products, when you look at the back of it, made in China, made in China, made in China. Okay, and of course, Mexico, with food and so on and so forth, right? So when you look at what happened back in 2020, you had the Panama, I think that was the Panama Canal? Yeah, right? There was a block in there for like, I think it was like 7 days. Okay. And then you look at what happened with the West Coast, when you had all those shipping containers that were left at the dock, right? And what it was going to do to the economy. Okay, now you got Trump putting tariffs. Okay, and I'm just mentioning these things as to things that has happened in the past that most people have forgotten about, but it was done that, for a reason. It was done that way for a reason, to give that space, that gap, okay, for things to build up, other things to kind of jump in, and ultimately for them to be able to build a case that they need AI to fix all of this. Okay, so in order for them to bring in that new age, they have to destroy the old, and that's what we're seeing now. Okay, so for Trump to put a tariff on these 3 major countries that impact directly on American consumption, not so much the corporate elites, but more of the everyday American, you can see where this is going, right? You can see exactly where this is going. And it says trade war. All right. So the topic of war, you got the so-called AI arms race. You got war. Everything is all about war right now, because that's the times that we're in. Okay, let me get that real quick, and then we're going to jump right into this article here. All right, it's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, and start off at verse 1. It says, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven," right? And that's synonymous with Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, right? Going into, though it tarry, wait for it shall surely come, it will not tarry, right? So the time, the season, the set appointed time, right, that the Lord has set for certain events to take place upon the earth, that's how it plays out. Okay, and now we're seeing the time of the end of this age, all right, playing out on its own. Okay, and we were warning about these things, and of course, with part of those times, the end times, comes with famines, pestilences, wars against different types of people and countries and nations, and so on and so forth. Okay, in other words, the earth becomes or is put in a state of complete and utter decay. All right, and that's what Esau is gunning for, in order to bring about a so-called new world after this old system is destroyed. Okay, but it says, "To everything there's a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted," right? "A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace." Okay, that's the point. A time of war and a time of peace. All right. So ultimately, there's always a balance, right? And now we're in a time where the hell kicks in before the balance, which will be brought by Yahushua and his angels, all right, will also kick in. Okay, but let's get this real quick here. All right, it says, on Saturday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to impose significant tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China, marking the onset of a trade conflict among these long-standing allies. And I believe certain countries in the EU are also going to be hit with tariffs as well. And I believe Italy, Germany, France, if I'm not mistaken, were 3 of the major countries that were going to be hit with tariffs. And they're saying, listen, man, we not with all this. All right, the way Trump is coming in and moving, you're kind of like, going back on what you promised. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on with that? All right, and not a lot. I'll say some, very few so-called Americans are starting to pick up on that. I'm saying off about this whole thing, But always remember, pride goeth before a fall. And all this prideful talk that this guy has been doing, you're going to bring America's golden age and all this extra stupid shit. Haven't you not heard what the prophets have been telling you? There is no throne for you. There is no golden age. This is it. This is it, man. All right, let's get this real quick. All right, this is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 7. It says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. All right, that's when they were in the womb. All right, in the belly of Rebekah, okay, the wife of Isaac, and they were wrestling. All right, they've been fighting in the spirit world all the way down to the womb, all the way down to the flesh. Remember, scripture says on earth as it is in heaven. So that same beef that Esau has always had with Jake is been that way from the beginning of time. The Lord set it up that way. Two different nations, two distinct nations are in thy womb. All right, and the younger shall have power and dominion over the older one. So the older shall serve the younger. Okay, so younger like, right? So it says, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, right? Are we not at the end of the world? For those who can't see, all right, sit around and just keep waiting and you go and see what you need to see. But for us who have the eyes to see, for that, all right, we know that we are at the end of the world, man, at the end of this age, all right, this common era, so to speak, all right? It says, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. You see, that's where Esau that's where he messed up at. The prophecy states that Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, takes over after the end of this age. Esau says, no, at the end of this age, AI takes over. What a damn fool, man. What a damn fool. All right, let's keep going, man. All right, it says, the president stated on social media that the tariffs were essential for protecting, quote unquote, protecting Americans. All right, that's a setup. When they say that, that's a setup. You don't fall for it, but many will. Okay. It says, urging the three countries to enhance their efforts in combating the production and exportation of illicit fentanyl. Bruh, what? Additionally, he called for Canada and Mexico to take measures to reduce illegal immigration into the United States. If these tariffs are maintained, they could lead to increased inflation, jeopardizing the trust many voters have placed in Trump to lower prices on essential goods such as groceries, gasoline, housing, and automobiles, right? These are all things that the everyday American is going to have to suffer for. See? And hey, when he started doing all those executive orders and shit, he I think it was last week, he cut the federal funding for a lot of things. I forget the exact amount that he had put a pause on, right? But the very next day or two, they said that Medicaid, you know, all kinds of different things that people depend on from the federal government, right? People are already getting affected by it, right? And this is the sickest nation there is. So if you want to hit them and hit them hard, you just mess with their food and their medication, and boom, you got them. And I could see that happening very soon, to the point where you're going to have people in long lines going to food pantries and, you know, stores or setups, tent setups and all that, just to get, you know, churches, parishes, just to get some food, man. You know, they have their small little carts with them and shit, you know, and they're going to have their children. You're going to have single mothers with like 3-4 children, you know, walking up towards a certain area so they can get their ID to prove who they are in order for them to get that food. That's what's coming. This whole thing is being set up for that. Okay? Groceries, gasoline, housing, and automobiles, man, that's your basic thing. That's why people work for the most part, you know, so you can have food to eat, right? If you have a car, if you're not in New York City and you have a car and you want to drive around, you need gas, right? Housing, you need shelter, the basic necessities. See, that's what these elites are doing. They're knocking everyone down. You see, when you look at something known as and I'm gonna go back to the article. Let me pull something up real quick. I want to show you something. Right, something known as, and this is going into psychology. Let's go. Maslow's. Now, I think I brought this up before. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And it says here, and this is a whole theory. It says, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a psychological theory that outlines human needs in a pyramid structure, with the most basic needs like food and shelter, right, which are your physiological needs, at the bottom, and more complex needs like self-esteem and self-actualization at the top. The levels are physiological, safety, love belonging, esteem, and ultimately self-actualization, which is when you've achieved all these things, you pretty much have lived it all and you're just kind of like cruising at that point, right? You don't need much, right? Physiological needs, which is at the bottom of the hierarchy, right, is basic requirements for survival like food, water, sleep, and shelter. Okay? That's the basic. That's the first thing. If you have any civilization, the first thing that the men in this society and the women, but the men in particular, what they're looking for is what? The basic requirements for survival, which is food, water, a place to lay your head. Okay, maybe clothing and so on and so forth, right? That's the first thing. Instincts, right? How do I survive? See, so what they're doing is they're systematically breaking down everything, destructuring. Okay, when they go into the word infrastructure, AI infrastructure, that's a new world that they're telling you that they're building, and it's all going to be controlled through AI. So people are being knocked down to the bottom of the pyramid, which is now you're gonna have to be worried about your basic survival necessities, your food, which is your groceries, your housing, right, and your car, how to move around. See, so if you're knocked down to that level and they take that away from you, what happens? Now you gotta beg. They put you in an uncomfortable situation. It doesn't have to be that long. These Americans are soft. All right, they're very, 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 very soft. So it is not going to take much for them to start saying, "Listen, I'll do anything." Yeah, we know you will do anything, and that's the ones that you're going to end up receiving. That you know what? It's not going to take much, just a little pressure here and there, and there will be not much resistance. It's not going to be that much resistance because they've been conditioned very well, all right, to obliviously go in and take that. You know what? But anyway, going back to let me finish off with the Maslow hierarchy thing, right? So after the physiological needs, you go up to the safety needs, which is feeling secure and protected from harm, right? What do you see now? The concept of safety has been what? Destroyed. Now people in their minds, everywhere they go, they look over their shoulder because anything could happen. Motherfuckers are scared to take a flight now because damn, a plane could fall out the sky anytime. Like, oh shit, we could have a plane crash anytime. Oh my goodness, They want to keep that fear going because then it opens up the door for them to bring in these new solutions, right? That'll keep you calm, right? But the new solutions that previously people wouldn't accept, right? Look at the TSA, for example. The TSA is a big example of people's freedoms being taken away from them, but they allow it because in their mind, it gives them a feeling of safety, protection. Oh man, if you search me and grab up on my nutsack and all this extra shit that the TSA people be doing, rubbing up on women, all up in their under shit, their titty under, they be doing the most. Women said they felt groped and man, they be wilding with that. They be wilding with that, right? But people will allow it because everyone is doing it, number one. Number two, if you resist it, then they embarrass you. They make you feel even worse, right? And number three, in your mind, that could stop a terrorist from blowing up some shit. So let's make it okay. But under normal circumstances, ain't nobody want to be grabbed up like that. I don't care what kind of security measures you're doing. Do not put your hands on me like that. That's the mindset. But that goes out the window when you walk into the airport, though, right? So safety needs is being destroyed systematically. It's being destructured, right? With all these false flags and, something known as agitation propaganda, right? They set things up. They do things to agitate populations in order for them to be pushed into a certain direction. It's always going to be the West, the left and the right, the two horns, Democrats, Republicans. That's how it's always going to be, right? Because that's what the government is there for. It's to control the masses of people, right? By dividing them. Two political parties, dividing them. Men and women, dividing them. Color, race, gender, all this different shit, right? So you have a division, smaller parts that you can control easier, right? With straight up propaganda, okay? And then the next thing is love and belonging needs, right? A sense of connection with others through relationships, friendships, and family, and so on and so forth. Right. So once you have the basic needs and you have your safety covered, what you looking for? You got a nice little shorty, whatever. Right. That also is being destroyed. The relationship between men and women. You see the fights that people are having. Now men don't want to even deal with women no more. See? And what does that do? It brings down the population, right? And also, it also allows people to get more engaged with this whole AI thing that's being pitched as a solution for your loneliness. You got men getting sex robots. You got women getting sex robots. That's what's going on now. Disconnecting people from building relationships and connections, real life ones, right? And the next thing is esteem needs, right? Feeling respected and valued by others, as well as having self-confidence and achievement. Well, according to biblical prophecy, what did Leroy say? He said, what? Let me get that real quick. See, we're seeing all these things happening. Most people are not paying attention, but that's okay. All right, it's a book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, right? So we're not in the state of people feeling, respected, or valued by others. That's not the state in which America is moving at the moment. Okay, everyone feels disrespected. Everyone feels slighted in a way, right? By the government, by their spouses, by their people. That's just the culture right now. People are not selfless. Everyone is selfish. Everybody's out to get you. People doing things, backhanded things. There's a little funny shit going on. And that's the culture of America right now. It's a cancer. And it's all part of the building up of America to be destroyed. Because with all the faults, they're still proud. It's crazy, And then ultimately you have self-actualization, right? Which is when you reach your full potential, you've reached all your personal goals, and, you're just chilling at that point, right? But that's not going to happen here in America, okay? So that's a little breakdown of Maslow's hierarchy and bringing people through the system being destructured, bringing people down to the mindset of living like in a survival mode, and that's how they're going to get a lot of people, okay? Because you own nothing and you'll be happy, all right? So it says here, continuing, it says, the tariffs could also create instability in the global economy and pose challenges to Trump's political agenda just 2 weeks into his second term. Okay? So global economy, think of that. And what needs to go down in order for the MOTB to come up? The current economic system, or at least the way in which people interact with the system. Okay? Again, the word is interact. All right? How are you going to be able to buy and sell? Interact. That's what's going to be changed. Okay? It says, under the order, an economic emergency has been declared. Here we go. Because through these emergencies, new policies, new laws, new lifestyles emerge. Okay? It says, resulting in a 10% duty on all imports from China and 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada. That's big. That is huge. And it's going to take a few weeks, months to actually see the results of these decisions that Trump is making. Right now, you already have a problem here in the on American soil. Okay, if you're listening to what's going on with the propaganda, of course, they're saying that the BF, the Angry Bird, is gripping, has had a severe grip. All right, the worst it's ever been on poultry farms. It's already starting to affect the eggs. Soon it's going to affect the chicken, and not just the chicken. All the other animals that we consume, the beef, the lamb, the chickens, and all that. Okay, don't be surprised if it jumps over to fishes as well. All right. This devil, listen, Revelation, the 6th chapter tells you, all right, that red horse that took peace out of the earth. The peace taken out of the earth is not just about them making war and bombing people like Israelis doing in Gaza. It's not just that. Okay, it's many different ways of psychological games that they play on people. Destroying lives, taking land, putting people in a state of despair and distress at all times. That's this devil for you, man. You know, you're never at rest. You're never at peace with this devil, man. You know, it says energy imports from Canada, including oil, natural gas, and electricity, will be subject to a 10% tax. Who's going to be affected by that? The everyday American who pays taxes. See? And then Trump going to say, oh, we're not going to do the federal income tax, da, da, da. Listen, man, they're going to get it some way, somehow. You know? And we all know, or at least we should know, that taxes collected by the government, or in this case, the IRS, right, does not go back to doing things or helping society, or, you know, they're not putting that money back into the infrastructure of America to make everything good again. No. Because if that was the case, then the Francis Scott Key Bridge would not have been taken down like that, number one. Okay, and so many different things that's been going on over the past 4 or 5 years that makes you wonder, what the hell's going on? All the money that these people are taking out of people's pockets. And then at the end of the year, you go file taxes, which really you shouldn't be doing. But anyway, you go file taxes and then boom, bam, bam, hey, you owe us this much more. What? It's just fraud, man. Insane. It says the order also includes provisions that allow for the escalation of tariff rates in response to retaliatory actions from the affected countries, raising concerns about potential economic repercussions. That's the goal. Okay? When Trump is having meetings at the World Economic Forum, these are the kind of things they're discussing behind closed doors. All right? And then, of course, they use AI to simulate how would this happen. Give me an end result of how this plays out if we do this. Or if you do this, and that, how does this happen? Or what comes out of this? Or how do we go about doing this? And now AI is given detailed, steps on how to collapse a society or how to start a war without anyone knowing, or all kinds of little funny stuff that's going on. And it doesn't bode well for the inhabitants of this earth, as is written in Revelation, the 12th chapter, the 12th verse. All right, it says the U.S. Chamber of Commerce warned Saturday that tariffs won't solve the years-long issues at the borders and instead threatened to upend supply chains. That's the phrase, supply chains. Supply chains, right? And raise prices for American families. Consumers are going to be clearly worse off, Sung Won Son, professor of finance and economics at Loyola Marymount University and chief economist at SS Economics, told CNN on Saturday. Quote, when you talk about a tariff, it's an economic war, and in war, everybody loses, end quote, he added. Quote, but hopefully we will come to some better results and conclusions as a result of the pain and suffering that we will go through, end quote. That's what you need to know. Jacob's trouble is right here. Okay? Jacob's trouble is right here at the door. Okay? The pain and suffering that we will go through. Are you hearing this? And these are top level economists. This is what you, let's get this. Let's get this. These are all part of the signs and the warnings that's going out. But it seems like we're the only ones who are paying attention to these things because, hey, we actually understand these things. Okay? There's a book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 3. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. Right? Let's read that in the NLT real quick. It says, remember him before you... Oh, shit. What? Let's not read it in the NLT. Never mind. We keep it at the KJV. We got some... all right. So let's go back to the article. I'm going to finish it off right quick. Right. So the emphasis is on what he said is the conclusions as a result of all this that's going on with these tariffs is going to be pain and suffering. Okay. Pain and suffering, man. And what does that remind us of? Let's get that. Let's see. The book of 2nd Ezra chapter 6. Continuing down in verse 23 says, and the trumpet shall give a sound which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. Okay, let's jump down to, actually, let's go to 2nd Esdras 15. Okay, it talks about right here, 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 5, it says, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay? And why? He tells you. He says, For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So the Lord is not, he's not unrighteous. Okay? Everything that's going to be happening here in America has already started, but it's really going to get worse and worse and worse. All right? It's because of your wickedness. Your wickedness just keep getting worse and worse and worse. See? And turning a blind eye to all these things that's going on. You know, I got a lot of people saying that, oh, you know, Christians, conservatives, you know, all these things that's happening, you guys are just, you know, staying quiet and letting it happen. What happened to you Christians, man? Like, these devils are, you know, coming out and just doing all these different things against your religion, right? And you're not standing up against it. Well, that's because they're easily getting, they're busy getting their whole spiritual behind getting cooked by the Hebrew Israelites. That's why. So they're not even paying attention to to Esau destructuring their whole unit. You know, they're busy, you know, watching us and trying to debunk what we're saying rather than paying attention to what we're actually telling them. You know, it's crazy. All right, so continue back in the article. It says about 1/3 of U.S. imports come from the 3 countries Trump targeted on Saturday. Their products are among some of the most commonplace and critical items used by Americans, including fruits and vegetables, meat, gas, automobiles, electronics, toys, clothing, lumber, and beer and spirits. Okay? So all the things that makes Americans feel like they on some high level shit, what Trump is doing is going to affect it all. It's going to affect it all. And once you people start seeing it, people are going to start pushing back and questioning. And that's when them executive orders are going to start, you know, playing a huge role. Okay? Because people are going to take to the streets. I believe in LA it's already happening. They doing a standoff against the police and all that military. I don't know what. I got to look into that. But I heard some shit. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? You know? But man, listen, people are going to start storming streets. All right? Because Trump, when he starts really letting the plans play out, yo, people gonna catch him like, oh, what the hell? Like, what is this? Like, yo, damn, like, He's gonna show his horns, truly. So yeah, man, just wanted to bring that out real quick, just as a heads up. Like I said, it's one thing that I've been paying attention to, and there's another thing. Let me see if I have it here open. Select it 1 second. There's an article that I observed. I just want to make a quick comment on that. Right, it says here, United Airlines flight evacuated after engine issue reported. Right, so again, destroying what's there now, the system there now, to bring in the new system. Okay, so all of a sudden planes and all this, which they showed you in Leave the World Behind, Obama's movie, whatever. Right, the planes falling out, right, crashing and stuff. So that was letting you know that that's going to be happening soon, right? Subliminal messaging / predictive programming. See? So now these things are happening. So the solution would be, oh, well, you see, we got DEI hires and we got people who are incompetent. The only way we can fix this is by having fully autonomous planes and helicopters. AI is going to run everything. We don't need people to do this. See? It's coming. Robots and shit. You know? Another article says poultry expert claims BF / Angry Bird outbreak is the worst in U.S. history. Okay, so I just wanted to bring those things out real quick, just to give you a heads up, right? Keep you informed, you know, and And we'll see what kind of stuff happens or plays out, into this the next month. February typically tends to be a lot of funny little things happening, right? So we'll see how this month plays out, within the next coming weeks. All right, heading into the month of war, which is the month of March. All right. So anyway, in closing, I'll leave it off there. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachakodash, the water Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai. And until next time, Shalom.